Fasting. Linguistically, fasting means abstaining from something. In Islamic convention, it means intentionally abstaining from eating, drinking, and anything else that invalidates fasting from the break of dawn until sunset with the intention of worshipping Allah. The definition of fasting in Islamic terminology indicates that it has two basic arkan, pillars. The first rukn is abstaining from anything that invalidates fasting from the break of dawn until sunset. The second rukn is that a person intends fasting as an act of worship. When does the month of Ramadan start? Since the Islamic calendar is a lunar calendar, the month of Ramadan begins when the new moon is sighted. When should the intention be taken? A person must intend to fast because the intention is a rukn of fasting. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Actions are but by intention, and every person shall have but that which he has intended." Narrated by Al-Bukhari. The intention should be formed during the night before the break of dawn, even if just by seconds. The Prophet ﷺ said, "A person who has not made the intention to fast before dawn renders his fast invalid." Narrated by Abi Dawood. What are the conditions that make fasting required? 1. Being a Muslim. Fasting is not valid if it is done by an unbeliever. 2. Puberty. Fasting is not required from anyone who has not attained the age when one is held accountable for acts of worship, and that is the attainment of puberty. 3. Sanity. Fasting is not required from an insane or mentally disabled person. 4. Sound health. A person who is ill and cannot fast is not required to fast, but if he or she fasts, the fast is valid. 5. Being in a state of residence. A person who is on a journey is not obliged to fast. If, however, he fasts, his fast is valid. In fact, if a traveler is able to fast, then it is preferred that he fasts. 6. Women who are menstruating or having postnatal bleeding are prohibited from fasting. Exemptions from fasting. 1. Illness and old age. A person who is ill may not fast if it would cause him harm or extreme difficulty. After recovering, he or she must compensate for these days before the next Ramadan by fasting the number of days that were missed. Those who are permanently unable to fast, such as those suffering from a chronic illness with little or no hope of recovery, and the frail and elderly who are permanently not able to fast, are not required to fast, nor are they required to compensate by fasting later. They are instead required to compensate by feeding a poor person for every day they miss. Scholars estimated this quantity of food for each day to be about 1.125 kilograms, which is about 2.5 pounds of wheat, rice, dates, or whatever the staple food is in one's community. 2. Travel. One on a journey is given the concession that he does not need to fast in Ramadan, but he must compensate for it before the next Ramadan by fasting a number of days equal to the number of days in Ramadan that he missed fasting. This exemption from fasting applies to travel for a distance like that which allows shortening the prayers, i.e., qasr, which is estimated to be about 80 kilometers, which is about 50 miles or above. 3. Menstruation. When a woman is in her menstrual period or having postnatal bleeding, she must not fast, and if she does, her fast is invalid. 4. Pregnancy and breastfeeding. It is not obligatory for a pregnant or a breastfeeding woman to fast if she fears for herself or her baby of harm because of fasting. What invalidates fasting? 1. Eating or drinking deliberately. 2. Sexual intercourse. 3. Deliberate vomiting. 4. Anything that is similar to eating and drinking, such as nutritious solutions and injections that supply the body with salts and nutrients, which takes the same ruling of eating and drinking during fasting. 5. Menstruation and postnatal bleeding. 6. Masturbation. Values to be observed while fasting. The following are values that every Muslim should always live by, but they are especially emphasized during fasting. 1. Avoiding lies, backbiting, and cursing. 2. Abstaining from lewdness and foul language, as well as answering those who use such manners. 3. Protecting oneself and one's body against committing any sin.